Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Julie's Jewels. I'm here with James Barstad. How you doing, James?
I'm doing very well.
We are excited to have you here today. Julie is in the building, but we're here. So anyway, we're here tonight to talk about. A couple weeks ago, Julie and I talked about the first half of the course. Up to from the start up to the Auburn Dam Overlook, which is mile 44. But tonight we're going to talk about the history of the race. That's kind of why we have you here, as the history guy, and the second half of the course, going from the Auburn Overlook out all the way around and back, and then all the way to the finish line. So, with that, let's get into some history. So, I did the race, and we were just talking before the show that we both ran it in 17.
Yeah,
It was
2017.
my first 100 miler, and then we were talking about the rain. It was and Mini Goat Hill, which was this section out in AOT where there had been a landslide because of the rain, and we had to change the course a little bit around a section. It was just a muddy mess. Remember that year?
Oh, yes, I do. That was quite an adventure trying to get up that little hill before Goat Hill. Um, Probably won't have to do that this year, but you never know.
You never
Things
know.
can change between now and the race day. But
Yeah.
that was quite an adventure. That was a fun year to run it.
Yeah. So this race, sometimes you got to change the course if it just we kind of go with the flow. So the history. Let's get into the race course. This race has been around for a long time.
It has. It actually started in the year 2000, and the race was originally started by Norm and Helen Klein, both legends in the ultra running world. Um, they started the race, and at that time, it was run in conjunction with um, a couple of races called the Sierra Nevada Endurance Runs. I think
Like
it was
a series.
well, it was all at the same time.
Okay.
It was a double marathon, and I think a trail marathon is what it was.
Okay.
And it started and finished at Cabot Middle School back at that time, which is just a little bit of ways, not too far from where the start and finish is now at Beals Point. But back then, when they did it, they did the course a little bit in reverse of what it is now. In fact, now we do that Lake Natoma loop at the beginning of the race. It was done at the end of the race back in those days. In fact, I ran it. It was my very first 100 back in. I ran it in 2006, back under Norm's direction of the race. So a lot of the similar course, although there's been some changes since then. But the race is definitely retained a lot of the same trails. But I think that the changes that have been made certainly have made this race course the best Rio has ever been. What we have now, I think, really is the best.
Yeah, it is nice with this course now on the last episode, which you can see on NorCal Ultra's YouTube page. We talked about the first 22 miles going around the Lake Natoma Loop, which is it's nice. It's rolling and paved, but the challenge is holding yourself back.
Yes,
And not just you're excited. It's early. It's crisp. The air you want to run,
and it's smooth. It's
smooth,
smooth, easy running early on. Yeah, I do think like any 100, there's going to be DNFs, and we hope we don't have too many this year. But certainly there are DNFs, and I think one of the things that leads to DNFs in this race is that easy start. People do run too fast sometimes, and they end up paying for it later. So we always caution runners to be mindful of their pace early on and stay within themselves. It is a time when you can make some good times, certainly, but at the same time, stay within yourself.
I think what I find with when you're physically exhausted, you're more easily to be mentally exhausted. So, you know what I'm saying? So when you're physically depleted, you're more likely to have the challenge of a DNF, like a mental challenge, which is part of an ultra is physical, but it's a mental game.
Oh, very much so. I think most people that are entered into a 100-mile race, they've probably done the physical training to get there. They've run other long races. Maybe this is their first 100-miler, but they've run 50Ks, they've run 50-milers, maybe even 100K, and they're probably physically ready, but not always mentally ready for the challenges that lay ahead. And I think really to finish 100, it's it's not about just being physically ready to do it. It's about being mentally ready to overcome the challenges that you're going to face,
Bingo.
because you're going to face
Mm-hmm.
challenges, whether it's nutrition, hydration challenges, cramping, blisters on your feet, whether it's weather related,
Yeah. Yeah.
those kinds of things, too cold, too hot, um, those kinds of challenges you will face during a 100-mile race. Everybody does. And it's a matter of being mentally prepared and ready to, you know that you're going to get some of those challenges and be able to overcome it.
Yeah. It's very true. I mean, rain. It rains most years, and some years it rains a lot. Usually, when I run it, it'll rain a lot. But the first year, I mean, this last year I ran it a couple years ago. Coming down the AOT, it was dark, it was windy, it was rainy, and I just, the best gear may not be enough. Like I had to have a change. I kept a shirt in every drop bag because just to get a fresh shirt on just was so nice. But there are those little tricks about bring extra stuff,
Yeah.
extra supplies, because the
It,
rain and the weather can be really mentally brutal.
it can certainly play a role. One of the nice things about this particular race is it's very crew friendly.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, we have lots of aid stations where you can have drop bags as well. But it's nice to have a crew there with fresh stuff like a shirt or
Hmm.
maybe fresh socks or even
Yeah.
fresh shoes. Um, but also mentally, it's nice to have your crew there to give you that pep talk that you might need to get
Hmm.
going again. So that's just a nice thing about this race. It's very accessible for your crew to get to many of the aid stations,
So
and
on
I
that
think that
note,
can really help you.
the website has that information, right? So we can go to the
Yep.
website, has the aid station chart, which I'm looking at it here. It's one like this here online. You can look at it. It says where your crew can be and where they can't be and all the cutoffs. So all they need to know is on the website.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is important, though, I will say, where it says there is no crew, please, there is no crew.
Hmm.
Uh, some of them are just not accessible at all, but others, they may be able to technically drive there, but it creates a problem or an issue if we
Hmm.
do have crew going there. So we just can't have crew going to those non-crew
Hmm.
aid stations. There are plenty of others that are crew accessible. So please, those are the ones that we'd like the crew to go to.
You
Yeah.
mentioned first time 100 milers. So this race is known for having a lot of first time runners.
Yeah, every year, a good chunk of the field are
Hmm.
first time 100 milers. I think on paper it looks like a pretty easy course, and I think that draws some of the first timers.
Hmm.
But I think also just being as accessible as it is,
Hmm.
crew accessibility uh, to all over the course is certainly a draw. Um, Also, I think the weather is typically pretty good.
Hmm.
Not too hot. I will say, going back in the history of the race, it wasn't always in November.
Oh yeah.
Originally, it was in September. In fact, I think
Hmm.
usually around the 10th of
Okay.
September or so, which can be pretty hot
Yeah, it
here
could
in the
be could be
Sacramento
100
area.
degrees.
So now that it's moved into November, we don't have that heat to deal
Mm.
with. Sometimes that means we do have rain to deal with, and we have less daylight hours to
Yeah.
deal with. But I think the lack of the heat is definitely a good trade off, and I think that's a good reason for 100 milers to first time 100
Mm.
milers to want to give it a shot. The other thing I think that attracts a lot of runners to Rio is that it is a Western States qualifier.
That's right.
In fact, it is, I believe, the very last one
Mm-hmm.
of the year for the runner to qualify for the
Oh.
following year's
Mm-hmm.
Western States, the lottery.
Yeah.
So that does attract runners as well. Sometimes veteran runners, but also first-time runners
Mm-hmm.
looking, that have that goal to do Western States at some point down the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned, to me, I think darkness and weather are the things that have been the hardest for me here because there's 13 hours of darkness in the race. You don't realize how long 13 hours is. You have to have a head. I would say like you have to have a headlamp plan. You can't just like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
I think I got a headlamp somewhere. That's not enough. You need to have several headlamps, old batteries, whatever you use. You got to really be ready for the. It's a lot of nighttime.
Yeah, for sure. And a couple of those far out aid stations are not crew accessible. For example,
Mm-hmm.
ALT. We'll get into the course in just a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Um, but oftentimes runners have been in the dark already for quite a while before they get there. That is a drop bag aid station, and that would be a good one to have an extra headlamp, maybe
Yeah.
some extra batteries,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're prepared should they have an issue. Um, Also on this whole back half of the course too, they can have pacers with them too.
Yeah.
And that can be a big help too, to kind of mentally help them get through those darkness hours. Because sometimes you feel like you're the only person out there on
Oh
this
yeah.
trail.
Yeah.
The person in front of you might be out of sight. The person behind you might be
Yeah.
way back there. You don't even know that they're there. But having that pacer with you sometimes it's
I
pretty helpful to get through those darkness hours. One other thing I will add to that is this race also falls on the weekend that
hmm.
daylight savings time
Hmm.
ends. So that messes with people's mind a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit in the time. Now the race, we follow the time. We follow daylight savings time,
Mm-hmm.
which is the time that we start on Saturday, and
Right.
we stay on daylight savings time all the way until the next
So you
day.
have to yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's something to be aware of, because many people have an automatic or connected watch
Mm-hmm.
that automatically changes time. So their time on their watch may not be
You just
actual
gotta,
race
yeah.
time.
I just go in and
Yeah,
I turn off the auto update,
that's a good idea.
and
Yep.
then I don't have to, because you don't want to do math.
Yeah.
There's no math in an ultra.
Well, yeah, especially when you're fatigued, math doesn't usually work too well.
And funny on
Yeah.
headlamps, I've experienced over the years with lots of different brands. And my 1 year I did Rio, I had this one brand that is little rectangle batteries, but they only lasted like 2.25 hours. And so what I found was I had like 5 batteries, but I was changing them so often. And when you change the battery, you have to have a light because
Oh yeah.
you have to have a light because it's dark. And so it was just the worst light because I was always, it was raining, I was in the dark, and I was trying to get a battery, and I was, you know, it just so have a headlamp that you've used that you've tried in the dark. You can now the one I can switch out the battery in the dark. So I have one now that I can physically do it in braille. So that's the
Yeah.
trick. Is like,
I think that's a good
yeah,
point that you've practiced with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just because that
Yeah.
way because it's you don't think about those things. If it's raining and your hands are shivering, you can't figure out how to put it in there right. It's just you gotta know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like blind. Anyway,
Yeah. And if you do have a pacer, hopefully they have their headlamp and they can help
yeah,
illuminate
yeah,
your your light as you're trying to
yeah.
change the battery in there. One thing I will say too, we're talking about why so many first time runners run. I think some other certain benefits that could draw runners to this race are the aid stations.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly we have a lot of aid stations, but they're very well stocked aid stations. NorCal Ultras, we're known for having very well stocked aid stations
Mm-hmm.
with veteran aid station crews. The captains that we have at these aid stations, they've been with NorCal Ultras doing these aid stations for years.
Mm.
I mean, some of them a decade or more. And they do our other races too. They do Air 50, and they work the aid stations at Way Too Cool as well. So they're very experienced in running an aid station, but they're also, most of them are experienced runners too. They've
Mm-hmm.
run these races too,
Yeah.
so they know what the runners need. They know what the runners want, and they're really focused on getting the runner to the finish line too. So they're ready to do what needs to be done, or to whatever that runner needs to help them get what they need and get going, so
Yeah.
they can get to
And
the
the
next aid station.
volunteers. So if you come into an aid station, everybody there has run an ultra, and they will see you and they'll know what you need. They will know that they kind of will, they'll read your mind, and they will take care of you because everybody there has done races.
They've
So
been there.
it's
Yeah.
very nice. You're very well taken care of, for
Yeah,
sure.
very much a benefit of the NorCal Ultra
Yeah,
races, for sure.
yeah. You want to get into
Yep.
the course
Yeah,
here?
let's talk a little bit about the course here.
So last time we were talking, and the videos on the Norca Ultras YouTube page, we started from the start. We did the Lake Natoma loop, came back around, maybe changed our shoes, and we got
Yeah.
on the single track, left there, and headed to Auburn. We went through the meat grinder, made our way all the way up to Auburn, and now we're at mile 44, and we're at the overlook, and our family's there, and everyone's excited. And now we're gonna go into the far side, which is a whole different race course, right?
and often dark for a lot of the runners
Yeah,
too.
it'll get dark
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah. So the Auburn Overlook, mile 44, there is a cutoff there. It's 6:40 p.m.,
Okay.
which I think that time of year, it's probably already dark for those people
Mm-hmm.
at or near that cutoff. Um, the nice thing about the Overlook certainly is you got your crew there. There's drop
Mm-hmm.
bags there. You can pick up a pacer there,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's the first place that
Mm-hmm.
the runners can pick up a pacer, which is, if they if especially if it's a first time 100, I think
Mm-hmm.
having a pacer
Oh yeah.
can definitely be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
It's good if your pacer has some experience running these kind of races as
Mm-hmm.
well. But from there, um, it's kind of a nice stretch going out of there. It's mostly downhill. It's a little over 4 miles down to No Hands Bridge.
Okay.
Mostly runnable. If they're inclined to run and they want to go, that's a good place to
Yeah.
keep running and get your rhythm going. Um, but from No Hands Bridge, then the stretch gets long. Um,
Trick question. Can I have
yeah,
crew at No Hands Bridge?
they cannot.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just want you
Yeah,
sure?
that's one of those aid stations where maybe technically somebody knows how to get there,
Yeah.
but there really just isn't
It's
access
very
to it.
narrow.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging spot.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's not parking. It could be, from a safety standpoint, just not good to get
Okay.
crew down there. So we don't want crew there. Their crew is back at the Overlook, so they can certainly. It's only 4 miles before
Yeah.
No Hands Bridge, so they had a time to spend with their crew then. But once they get down to No Hands, we'll have that aid station there to get them ready for a couple of long stretches after that.
Mm-hmm.
So after No Hands Bridge, they actually have the longest stretch.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
about 10 miles. It's a little over 10 miles. I think on the pace chart it says 10 and a quarter
And
miles.
it'll feel like 30,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's far enough into the race where, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're already in the second half. You're past 50 miles. Um, and they're probably feeling it a little bit. So those long stretches will feel like they take
Mm-hmm.
a long time. Plus, it'll be dark for most of the runners. The faster runners, certainly it'll be light, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, the second half of the
Yeah.
pack and the back of the pack, it'll be dark. It is nice runnable for a good stretch of it, though. As
Mm-hmm.
you come out of No Hands Bridge, you go on a section called the Quarry Road. It's very runnable, kind of
Okay.
rolling.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a crushed granite surface, so
Mm-hmm.
mostly fairly smooth. If you can run, great. If you can alternate running and
Okay.
walking
Yeah.
there, that works pretty well as well. But you have, I think, about 5 miles or so um, where you're going down that quarry road. Now, before you actually get to the quarry road out of No Hands Bridge, you do have a road crossing.
Okay.
Um, you cross Highway 49, which is a major highway. We do have CHP there, though.
Okay.
So we do ask the runners listen to CHP, follow CHP direction. There may be
Yeah.
cars going through there. If it's dark, certainly, creates another concern, in terms of safety. But with a CHP officer there, we'll make sure they're safe. If they are wearing earbuds, we do ask that they at least have one out so that they can hear the direction from the CHP
Yeah.
officer.
What
That's
I've
at that
noticed about
road crossing.
what I've seen is that they'll let a group of runners go through, and then they'll stop for a minute and let a group. So I would say don't assume you have the green light. Assume you have a red light, and then if he says, they will direct you because
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
kind of go in
Yeah.
chunks of people. It seems like.
Yeah, yeah. So once they cross that road, then they'll hit that quarry road section. Once they go down about 5 miles or so, they start some single track called the Waterfall Trail.
Okay.
That's uphill. That's when it gets a little tougher. That trail's a little bit more rugged too. There may be some ruts, some roots, rocks on that trail. They may be walking it or hiking it. It's a good section to hike. As you're heading up toward the trail higher up. Once you get up toward the top of that trail, you're going to make a quick right-hand turn, or sharp right-hand turn, I should say, and start making your way toward the ALT aid station. That section from that right-hand turn to the ALT aid station is actually a pretty runnable section if you can run. It is single track trail, but it's relatively
What's
smooth.
the name of that trail up there?
That's the Wendell Roby Trail
that's a
up
good
there.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is part of the Way Too Cool course too.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also part of the Western States course as well.
Nice.
So it's a very nice section of trail. If you can run, great. But even if you're hiking at that point, you can hike pretty fast on it and make good time into the ALT aid station. Now the ALT aid station, um, there is no crew access there. It's a private area to get back in there, so we can't have crews going
Okay.
back in there. Just can't do it. Um, but it is a very well stocked aid station. Um, uh, there's no pacer switching there or anything like that
Yeah.
either. Um, uh, there is a cutoff at ALT, 1:45 a.m.
Yeah. So it's
Is a cutoff out there.
one thing about the one that I like is that when you're out in the ALT loop, it feels like forever. But all of a sudden, it's dark. You'll
Oh, I take that back. There is not a cutoff at ALT. Yeah,
ah.
there is not a cutoff at ALT, and that's because it is difficult to get runners out of there, unless it's an
I
emergency.
worked the station,
Yeah.
and I worked there one year. And yeah, it's difficult. People will drop there, but we don't want them to.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes
I
you
mean,
have to sit there a long time.
Yeah, you have to
before we
sit
can get
there
them
in the
out.
cold for
Yeah.
3 or 4 hours. It's better if you're moving.
Yep.
You can
Yeah,
I mean, just
absolutely.
keep
Yeah.
the blood. You can always walk. Keep going to the next one.
Going back to the aid stations are well stocked. I believe that's an aid station that has hot food as well. So
Mhm.
that's a welcome thing for a lot of the
Yeah.
runners when it gets a little cooler and
I
they're
have a
moving
tip.
slower. Yeah.
If it's a cold night and people are hanging around a fire, don't go to the fire. It's a trap.
Well, it's like kind of like beware the chair, that
Don't
same kind of idea.
just
Yeah.
eat some
Yeah.
food and get out of there. You can always, because that's a trap.
Yep. That's probably good advice. I would agree with that. Yep. Um, so ALT aid station, they get in there, they'll get taken care of by our aid
Good.
station crew out there. We got veterans, of course, running that
Mhm.
aid station as well. After the runners leave ALT aid station, again, they're on a nice section of the Wendell
Mhm.
Roby Trail. It's about a 5-mile stretch, I think, from approximately 5 miles from ALT
Mhm.
to Goat Hill,
Oh
the
yeah.
famous Goat Hill. It's part of the Way Too Cool
Yeah.
course. Of course, it's been on our Rio course for quite a few years now as well. It's a very steep, short climb. Well, short, I guess. I don't know. What is it? A
Mhm.
third of a mile, maybe?
Yeah,
Up,
not
or
too bad.
maybe
Yeah.
less than a half a mile, I believe. But it is steep.
Mhm.
You and I were talking about
Yeah.
2017 out
Yeah.
in that area. It was super muddy around that area.
Mhm.
We don't know what the weather will hold this year, but Goat Hill can be a challenge, certainly. But it's real nice getting to Goat Hill. But once you get, well, I will say, first of all, from ALT to the next aid station, it is almost 10 miles. I think it's 9.6. So it's a
Mhm.
long stretch. I think
Yeah.
it's the second longest stretch between aid stations.
Yeah. And those
So
two
right
are
before
long.
that, you had the longest stretch. Now you had the second longest stretch.
Mhm.
So that this whole section might be some of the toughest for our
Yeah.
runners. Once they, get up Goat Hill, the course is somewhat technical.
Yeah.
There's another almost 5 miles or so from the top of Goat Hill to the next aid station. Um, there's ruts, there's some climbs,
Mhm.
there's roots and rocks
Mhm.
and all of that kind of stuff to face, and it certainly will be dark for almost everybody except our front runners. Um, so it could be challenging through
Mhm.
there. So it's okay, take your time through there. Um, Keep moving though,
Yeah.
and get to the next aid station, which is the cool fire station.
So
Yeah.
I remember. Do you have to cross the highway
Yes.
before then? Or
Yeah. Yeah. So then they're right in between, right about maybe a mile and a half, maybe
Okay.
a little less than a mile and a half before the cool fire station. You do cross the Highway
Right at the
49
quarry, right?
again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay.
So there's 2 crossings of that
Okay.
Highway 49. Again, there will be CHP there.
Okay.
Same process
All right.
applies. CHP will direct the runners across the highway there. We want to make sure everybody stays
Yeah.
safe. Again, take that earbud out, make sure you can hear, and get across the road safely, and make their way to the cool fire station.
Mhm.
Now there is a climb again once they cross Highway 49.
Yeah.
They continue to climb.
Pretty steady climb.
Yeah, and again that's rutted, rocky, and some tree roots and such
Mhm.
to get up toward the meadow by the cool
Mhm.
fire station, and follow the course markings. and it'll take you to the cool fire station.
Nice.
Yep.
And there you have your people.
Yes.
Will be there.
Crew access. So this
Nice,
is the
beautiful
first
access.
place that our runners can see their crew since the Auburn Overlook.
Yeah.
So since mile 44. So it's a pretty good stretch there. What,
Oh, yeah.
24 miles, I think.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a quarter of the race,
Yeah.
just about, where they did not have crew access. But now they do again at the cool fire station. And that is where the cutoff is. And that is the
Okay.
cutoff at 1:45 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool fire station, a good place to meet up with your crew, get some motivation. And
I once picked up. I was pacing one year, and I got picked up there.
yep, and that's
And
a good place.
it was
to,
about 1:30 when we left.
Yeah.
Which was really close.
Yeah.
And it was cold, and we left at 1:30, and it was like just chasing cutoff. So you don't want to be there near 1:30, 1:45. It's
well, hopefully not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. But if you're there before 1:45, you're still in the game.
But
and don't give up. Right.
The deal is that it gets easier. Just keep going.
Yep. So you can, you can pick up a pacer there. You can switch out your pacers there.
Okay.
So that's a good place to do that, and it's easy for crew to access to drive to, right off of Highway 49. In fact, that traffic that you may be coming to in the middle of the night as you're crossing Highway 49 is probably crew for some runners.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep, those are the people that are probably out there driving. So hopefully they're looking for runners too, and they're making sure everybody's staying safe. Then from the cool fire station, that's about mile 68-ish, they go back to No Hands. And that follows, part of the Wendell Roby Trail, which is, part of the Western States course as well.
Okay.
From there, it's a nice, little over 3 mile stretch. I think it's listed as 3.15 miles. A nice runnable stretch for the most part, downhill.
Yeah.
People call it the roller coaster or the luge. Some people call it.
I think if it's old school, it's called the luge. Yeah.
So it's a nice place to run if you can run to get back down to No Hands Bridge. Again, it'll be dark for probably the bulk of the runners as they're going through there, but still very, very nice running. And then, of course, when they get down to No Hands, again, no crew, no pacer change or anything like that there. But it's not that far to get back up to the Auburn Overlook. The Auburn Overlook is about a little 4 miles, I think 4.25 miles back, but it's uphill. And of course, our runners will know it because they came down it earlier when they left the Overlook. Now they're going the other way. They're going back up. Relatively smooth, but still, might be challenging to run. So if you can get a good hiking pace, that's a good place to keep it going. I see you're holding a section of our trail markers.
Yes.
I did talk about the markers a little bit as I was referring to leading you to the cool fire station, but all of the course will be marked with orange ribbon, just like this year. We have our volunteers mark the course a day or so before, and they're checking course markings throughout the day as well. But a good piece on here is reflector. There's reflectors on the end of the ribbon at night. Even from a pretty far away, the headlamps catch this reflectors so you can see them. I know back in the old days, everybody used to put the glow sticks on the and they would fade over time. These don't fade. Your headlight will reflect against that, just as bright as at 8 o'clock at night as it will at 4 o'clock the next morning. So
and
these are really nice to have.
Every mile or so, or what is the
course markings? I would again say our NorCal Ultra events are known for having very good course markings. Maybe more than you find in some other races. It certainly varies. But typically, I would say every quarter mile or so, there's a marker on average. When you're getting close to a turn or an intersection or where their trails might meet, you'll typically see quite a few more markers. There's usually, I call them comfort markers. Once you pass one of those turns or something, and you start to question yourself, am I going the right way? Am I still on course? On those kind of areas, you typically will see a couple more of these
Nice. Yeah.
pretty close by, just
Okay.
to give you that comfort that, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'm on the right stretch here. Now I did say that, of course, we mark the course typically the day before, but we'll have people go out there even the day of in sections of the course.
And check them and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
unfortunately, there are people that will see these and pull them down. Maybe it's kids, maybe it's people who just don't like the event being there or whatever. But we want to make
Okay.
sure
All
our
right.
runners
All
don't get
right.
lost. Um, so we were talking about going back up to the overlook from
Yeah.
No Hands. It's that long uphill stretch. It's about a little over 4 miles. But once the runners get there, uh, welcome sight to be
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, it's you got your crew there again. You can switch out a
Yeah.
pacer or pick up a new pacer at that point. It's a good place to be.
Mm.
Again, well stocked aid station, so good place to make sure your uh, bottles are filled or your bladder is full
Mm-hmm.
going out. You've got some food going with you. You had some warm food if it's cold out, which it probably will be. Um, as our runners take off out of the overlook, well, first of all, before I leave the overlook, I do want to say, unfortunately, we do have DNFs. Like any 100-mile race,
Mm-hmm.
certainly people drop for whatever reason, but the overlook is where we tend to see the most drops.
Okay.
Yeah. So beware if you don't want to drop, make sure you focused on getting out
Yeah.
of that overlook aid
Yeah. Don't
station.
stay too long.
Yeah.
If
Don't stay too long.
the longer you stay at a station, the your chances of not leaving are increasing.
Well, especially that late in the race. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking almost mile 77 here.
Yeah.
If you sit down, you get stiff. And when you stand up, well, first of all, it's hard to stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you might have to have help getting you up, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to sit too long because you'll just get more
Yeah.
stiff and more stiff. But as the runners take off out of the overlook, they have a nice, again, long runnable stretch
Mm-hmm.
downhill. They're going back down toward the American River. Some of it's paved even. I mean, it's not real smooth pavement, but it's paved. And if the runners are able to run, it's a good place to run.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's fun because if you did the race right, you'll pass just zombies
Yeah,
all the way to the finish
absolutely.
line.
Yeah.
Nothing better than passing a bunch of zombies. You feel great. People are laying on the side of the trail, and it's pretty nice.
Yeah, if your quads aren't shot, it's a good
Yeah.
place to try to get some and make
Yeah.
up some time too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you had to slow down in some of those rougher parts early on, going up Goat Hill or
Mm-hmm.
around there, but you might be able to make up some ground. Um, um, Talking about those stiff muscles, especially at the overlook mile 77 ish, we will have a massage therapist
During the race?
at the overlook.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you do sit in the chair just a little bit too long and you're a little too stiff standing up, maybe you can go see Yvette, our massage therapist out there.
So if you have a
yeah.
knot like in a calf, some pain, they could
Yeah,
quickly
they
get
can work that out.
use
Yeah.
your hips. They could get in there and just kind of spend a couple minutes and get that out of there.
Yeah, it wouldn't even take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yep, just to get moving again, so that you can run down that hill.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But once you get down that hill, I think it's about 3-ish miles out of the overlook down to Cardiac. There's a water-only aid station down there.
Yeah.
You may not need it, if you just
Yeah.
came out of the overlook, but you might, because you do have a little longer stretch again after Cardiac to the next aid station, and that is Rattlesnake Bar.
Yeah.
So that section from Cardiac to Rattlesnake Bar is rolling. There's no big climbs there. There's little rolling climbs, and it's relatively runnable. Single track trail.
Yeah.
It's all single track. So if you can run a little and make up some time there. That Rattlesnake Bar aid station again is a crew accessible aid station.
Nice. Yeah.
It's also an aid station where you can switch out a pacer again. Some people like to have a few different pacers.
Lots of
for
times
different
they're
sections of the race.
maybe the last pacer is maybe someone maybe like your spouse or your kid, or it's always a good spot to have someone jump in.
Although it's still about 14 miles, so they got to be able to run 14 miles.
Is that your last spot? That is your last spot to pick up somebody. So
yeah.
So get them training now.
Yeah, they got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
At 14 miles, 14-ish. I think it's slightly more, maybe a tenth or two more. But And I will say, okay, once they leave out of Rattlesnake Bar, it can be tough. So there's a short section from Rattlesnake Bar to Horseshoe Bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think less than 3 miles, 2.6. Again, it's still not too technical, not too rough yet. Single track trail. Um,
Hmm.
Short section again, no crew. Uh, you know, access or drop eggs at Horseshoe Bar. Um, but it's a good section to stock up again because you do have a longer
Hmm.
stretch to the next aid station
Yeah.
after that. So it's good to make sure you get some calories in you at Horseshoe Bar. Again,
Yeah.
warm food can be helpful there.
And
Uh,
looking at the 6.8 miles, if you have been walking, that could be 3 hours.
Well, and I'll say it is a tough, I know you in the first half, talking about the first half of the course, you covered the meat grinder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or the rock garden, people call it too. You're going back through there.
Mm,
And although there's no big climbs, it can be rough, especially on tired legs.
yeah,
If you're real weary, you're stiff, it can be hard because there's, uneven
yeah.
surfaces. There's, big rocks here and there that you're stepping over and around. So it can be, relatively slow going if you're hurting a little bit. Um, so, be aware of that
Mm-hmm.
because that it's a 6.8 mile stretch to Granite Beach, and a good section of that is that meat grinder. So it may take some time.
Okay.
Yeah. So be aware of that. Plan for that. And I will back up too because I didn't mention it when I was talking about Rattlesnake Bar. There is a cutoff there at
Oh,
Rattlesnake Bar
okay.
too, and that's 6:50 a.m.
That's
And
good. Yeah,
that
that's
is actually the last official cutoff. Um, so you as a runner, you can make it out of that aid station by 6:50. That Rattlesnake Bar
hmm.
aid station, that 14 miles. Um, you've got what is it? Doing my math in my head, 4 hours and 10 minutes, I think,
Yeah,
to do that 14
yeah,
miles, which is very doable.
yeah, for
But
sure.
keep in mind there's that rough section there
Mm-hmm.
before Granite Beach. Um, but once you get to Granite Beach, it's pretty smooth
Yeah,
sailing.
yeah. Well,
So,
smooth sailing. However,
well, yeah,
we'll talk about this construction out there. If this is your first race, you wouldn't know any difference. If you've run some Rios, we always go across the last three. They're called dikes or they're dams or levees. They're these.
yeah,
So that's all under construction. So if you're doing that this year and you've run it, you get around the Granite Beach. Make a right at dike. It's called dike 4, and then you're gonna follow the single track all the way around.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a good point. It's going to take a little longer than it may have in the past.
If you run it, you won't be
Yep.
able to just. Usually,
Yeah.
you can just kind of go dead and just
Yeah.
like turn your feet over, and you see the finish line. You hear the cowbells, and you're like,
Yeah.
but it's
Well, it
not.
used to be when you hit the very first levee, you could see the lights at the finish
Yeah.
line, and you could hear the music
Yeah.
and the announcer talking at the finish line.
Which is probably you talking.
It was oftentimes me, yeah. Um, but now you may see it for a moment, but then you'll
Yeah.
drop down behind
Yeah.
the levees
Mm-hmm.
and run that single track
Yeah.
to make your way back to the
Mm-hmm.
finish line. Again, there are some climbs then,
Yeah.
not big, huge climbs, but there
Yeah.
are some climbs
Mm-hmm.
that are decent. So that's a very good point to keep in mind. Yeah, because for those veterans, the race is going to be slightly different, just
Yeah, but
due to construction
they have
in the
improved
area.
those.
Yeah.
They improved those sections. There's like a decomposed granite. They widened them out, so they're pretty good. Pretty good trails in that section there.
Yep. But once you get past that, you do, I believe, pop up on the final short little levee. Is it going to pop up?
No, it's going to go all the way out past to the near the guard shack. It's going to come out
It's going to come up the road this year.
on the entrance
Okay.
road to Bill's Point. If you
Yeah.
came
All
in there
right.
in the morning to park,
That construction has
you're going
made
to
a
hit the
change.
road, make a left, 300 feet. You'll go past the guard shack.
Yep.
And go across the hill, and then drop down the hill, and you'll grab that little paved bike path on the right
Yep.
before the parking
To
lot,
the finish.
and you
Yeah.
kind of go around, make a left there, and back to the finish.
Yep. And that finish, so that finish is 11 a.m. And remember, that's 11 a.m. daylight savings time, not not standard time.
Yeah.
And when that runner gets to the finish, they're going to get one of these. In fact, we've got
Oh boy.
a couple of buckles here. There's the silver one for the sub 24 runners,
I haven't seen those before.
and the the bronze one for
I've seen these.
our 30-hour runners.
Yes, these are
Yeah,
what they get
yeah,
before I get
yeah.
there.
Unfortunately, I have more of those than I do those.
Yeah, there's a nice,
Yeah,
and these are really nice. They're a good size, and I wear mine a lot. It's just a good shape, good size. It's a wearable buckle, so nice to show off to your family and friends that you can do hard
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So
And that finish line at Beals Point is a nice place to be. It's a nice grassy area. We've got
mhm.
warm food going. There's music
Yeah,
playing. It's great to see your friends, your family
yeah.
celebrate your finish.
We'll be there
Yeah.
talking to runners as they pass. We'll have if it's in the morning, maybe not 2 in the morning, but we'll have a little station to talk to runners, and we'll be. But yeah, it's nice. You can get a massage. Depends on the hour. If you get there too early, we may have limited services, but we'll see how it goes.
So we're saying don't run too fast then, huh?
Yeah, but it's great. And you get there and you're done. You can just crash. Awesome, James. This has been great. So now we kind of talked about the whole course, and we'll probably do more as we get closer. Maybe have more talks about just different things about the course, and maybe more fun facts, and kind of go over some details we can get into. Maybe like I'd like to talk about like each aid station and who's in charge of it, and what they may have there, different foods, and it's a lot of history in the aid stations. That'd be
Certainly.
kind of fun to talk about.
And many of them are themed as well.
Yeah,
So a little fun going on at the aid
awesome.
stations.
Cool, James. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Nice
great talking to you.
Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
and we'll see you next time. Bye.